Hello. Hello. How are you? How are you? Welcome. We're sewing today. How's it going? Hello, Sylvia. Welcome back. Hi, Aisha. Hi, Renee. Hi, Danny. Nice to see you all. Everyone getting back like into the end of summer thing. Hi, Sydney. All right. Nice. Sewing on a Thursday. I mean, unless it's Friday for you, depending on where you are. Loki sleeps next to me, and he wants to be right up against me, and I can't move, so I get fidgety. Okay, so I cut out the tunic yesterday, and I feel terrible, but I didn't have enough fabric. And this is a cautionary tale. The fabric requirements only give it to you for 58-inch wide fabric. This is the same for some European pattern companies as well. And this has thrown me off a few times. And I got the exact yardage if it was 44-inch. I didn't buy it. Like Hearts gives it to me, but at the same time, I was standing right there. And I've had this project for way too long to sew for them. Now they're out of the fabric. So we're going to get through one sleeve on Saturday, and I have fabric for half of the other sleeve. I'm only missing a half of a sleeve. So I feel terrible about that because I could have probably checked this a long time ago. I washed it right when I got home. I just didn't check it, right? So anyway, we're going to get through part one today. And Saturday, we'll have one sleeve and we'll have the belt. So funny. Nope, Thursday 8 p.m. Okay, it's Thursday. It's 8 p.m. for you. You're in the UK somewhere, or Europe. You're not ready for summer. You're over at all. Danny's ready. Hi, Nancy. How's it going? Good afternoon. I know, I'm kind of surprised. Like, my gaming buddy, he starts going back to school now, and I'm like, dang it. I like it when, there's not a school night. He's a teacher. Hi, Mullen. Germany. Okay. Sorry. I didn't mean to assume you're in UK. So, there was some talk also about fall makes in the guild, and people were like, fall, it's 100 degrees here. I actually have been thinking about fall makes because I feel like I didn't get as many summer makes as I wanted, and I was like, you know what, stop now. Stop now and shift your focus to fall, because a lot of my sewing projects now have to be in personal time because I do other things during the day for the guild and for the channel and whatever, right? So I'm so liberated, I'm in there too. So I do my sewing, my projects for me, I do it in my own time. And I am really hot to trot on making some blazers for myself. And Aisha told me that there was printed corduroy at this place. And I immediately went there, bought some. And I thought it was shipping from Japan and it would take a month. It did ship from Japan and it's going to be here today. I can't believe it. I'm so excited. So that's going to be waiting for me when I get home. It feels too late for summer. Yeah, exactly. I think the autumn patterns are great. I mean, I want to be able to wear those things as much as possible. And here, summer lasts a long time. I remember even on the coast, So, me too, Aisha. I can't wait to see it. Because I think you and I liked a lot of the same ones. There were a few I really wanted. There just wasn't enough yardage, and I wasn't going to take a chance not trying to do Jenga with my pattern pieces. I have this one sitting here that I bought. So this is one fabric I got to make a blazer. Have you guys watched the Gilmore Girls? I realized now that I really just want all the blazers from the Gilmore Girls, especially when Rory goes to college. She has some of the cutest blazers. I want to be a cute blazer girl. So I saw this at my local fabric store and it wasn't enough. And so I searched for it and I found it on sale. It's not a new fabric, but it's kind of out there and I like it. Use summer weather till the end of September. Yeah, especially the Pacific Northwest. As soon as it stops being so hot inland, the clouds and fog clear up, right? Is there something like fabric chicken? Yes, and I don't like playing that game. I just made a whole beautiful green linen dress. I was so excited for this dress, and I don't know how. I tell you guys I don't lose things, but I lost the sleeves and all the scrap fabric for that. And I'm not sure what could have happened. I was cutting it close on fabric, but I know I got it because I had to pay attention. I had to play fabric chicken. So the one interesting thing about this fabric order arriving today is that I got a green that looks a lot like the green of my dress, and I'm really hoping that it will work for sleeves. And the fabric store I bought the green linen is on like a parental leave. Right now they're temporarily closed, and when they open up I'm going to see if they still have the green linen in stock. So yeah. Oh, you like the dress I had yesterday. What was I wearing yesterday? I don't remember what I was wearing yesterday. What was it? That's so funny. What the heck was I wearing yesterday? This is my third outfit today. Daughter Gigi has a sale on coat on the... Oh, you got the Adams pant, Briar pant, Tom's... I thought you already had the Adams pant. Not that I know what all patterns you guys have. So, all right. What was I wearing yesterday? Oh, wait, it almost came to me. Oh, the floral Franconia. Yeah. Hi, Terry, how's it going? Terry, my blazer fabric is arriving today, my printed corduroy. I'm excited. Yeah, that was the Franconia. I got that fabric. It's a pretty heavy fabric. That's the only thing about that dress is it's not a very cool dress to wear. And it's kind of nice that it's simple because of the heaviness of it, but it really pulls on the shearing waist. So I feel like it looks a little frumpy sometimes at certain angles, but it's so comfortable to wear. I got that fabric in a Fabric Godmother box. I loved that subscription service, but I don't know, I just had bad luck 3 months in a row that I got, well, one fabric I was definitely not into, but my daughter was, which was great. And then the patterns were definitely not for me. And the other two fabric choices were too dark to put on camera, so I couldn't use them for things. And so I was like, all right, I just got to stop this because they were all really fantastic boxes, really great goodies, really great fabric, high quality stuff. You got a lot of fabric, but I wasn't able to use it right away. So the Briar, yeah, okay. You got green. Oh, I think I saw that, Terry, because I was going to tell you I got this green in from this place I bought I got the printed corduroy from Miss Matabi, and they have this green double gauze that looks just like the green of my linen, the color. So I'm hoping it'll be a good sleeve substitute until I maybe get some green linen for the sleeves. So anyway, I was blooming. Yeah, it was fun to find a dress pattern for that fabric that took a lot of fabric, because I have had so much of, they send you so much fabric. I think they sent like 6 yards. It was a crazy amount of fabric. 5 yards, 6 yards, something like that, or meters. That's a lot of fabric. And I don't want to have a yard left over. I really don't like that. Like, we all battle our stash, right? And so my thing is I buy what I need and then I don't have extra. I try. When you've been sewing this long, you know. Anyway, let's get sewing. I'm taking my time because I think it's gonna go really quick. And I know you don't like it when it goes really quick. So, but I love the discussion we had yesterday. I really love hearing what you guys think about, like, you know, should a pattern company teach you to sew? And how do you feel about the sparse instructions and the size band discussion? I thought those were all really interesting things to chat about. I had another one at the end of it. I was like, oh, I forgot to ask them about this, but maybe it'll come to me. So I fit this tunic. I'll show you really quickly so this is the after. So the first fitting is this one here. So this was where it started. and let me get rid of that. I took out a lot of fabric on the back shoulder and in the back, and I ended up making a video reflecting all this and put it on Instagram. It's probably kind of boring for most people. It's not a snappy reel. And it's also definitely one of my longer things, but I showed it in Procreate how I altered the pattern so it's a little clearer rather than putting these huge pieces under my camera here on my sewing machine. So this was the first version, and this was just a fabric scrap that I put on as a belt. It was definitely felt really big, but mostly in the back. Like it felt like very voluminous in the back. And so I pinched it out along from the neckline down the sleeve, and then from the shoulder down to the hem in the back. So let's see what that looks like. So, why does this look so big? I don't know if you see the pinch out there? It's funny. I'm going to try and make it, if I can grab it. It's really hard to grab. There we go. So that's what I took out of this, and I feel like it slimmed it down a little bit. And I think in a like slinkier fabric, it would even be nicer. So anyway, that's where we're at. All right, so yeah, Ascot Tunic, and it has this obi belt that we'll make on Saturday. I'm kind of excited to make the belt. I've never made anything like that before. It's kind of like a cummerbund type of combo. And I have the lighting kind of low because white is pretty hard to show on camera. So first we have some shoulder darts. I'm going to sew this in the exact order, hopefully, of the Style Arc instructions, because I know that Style Arc has this reputation for having sparse instructions, so I'll just try and stay on task for you, even though you had to suffer through my monologue in the beginning, you know. So first we doing darts, shoulder darts. This does have a kind of an interesting collar and facing construction. It's sort of a stand-up, built-in collar. My machine's on. Well, I just started it. Did it just come unthreaded? No, it didn't. Sorry, I doubted you. Let's put the stitch length. It's rare that this is what's going on. There we go. Do you want me to zoom in a little bit more? Let's leave the camera up there. Look at my fingerprints. What's that? Makes it look like it's dirty. Let's zoom in a little bit. That works, right? It's so hard to grab these little things. There we go. Okay. There we go. That's a little better. That works. If it doesn't, just tell me. I switched to a 14 needle because this is the Hearts Fine Cotton. They provided this pattern today and the fabric and all that. We love it. We get projects that we normally wouldn't. I probably wouldn't pick out because I don't know about them, or I don't know, they don't catch my eye. Also anything though, like I'm into, I like everything. I like sewing everything. All right, so this is, I'm trying to make sure I get a left and a right. And I was kind of confused there for a second. I was like, why is my pin on the same side on the left and a right? Like I thought I was going to have the opposites, or I mean the same. All right. You guys are so quiet, it makes me nervous. Okay, so we have that, and then now you're supposed to press the dart towards the neckline, but we're going to go to the next step so I can do the ironing for that at the same time. And that is going to be the center front seam. And you're going to want to do this from the hem to the neckline. It's a little easier because you're going to need to stop. This is kind of important. You want to stop 1/4 of an inch before you get to the neckline. Oh, do we want French seams? How are we finishing the seams? Do we think we could do a French seam with the V-neck? I don't know. Let's try it. We're going to do the tiniest of tiny French seams. I mean, I could use my serger, but I'd rather not. It's only 3/8 inch seam allowance, so that's why I'm kind of like, I don't know why there's a notch right here, but maybe just so you know. Okay, so we want to stop 1/4 inch from the top, and that's basically the seam line because the neckline has 1/4 inch seams. So I think when you're dealing with an angle like this, the best thing to do to make sure that you are hitting that spot is to draw it on there, because it's really hard to see with the angles. So right there. So I'm going to stop my French seam along that little groove. See the marks I made? So that juncture right there, that's 1/4 inch from the top. All right, so let's go to the iron. Oops. I really like my new ironing station. That's one thing I like about this change. I feel like I might need to do a little trim. This is very, front and center. So let's just make sure we trim it down a little bit. I wasn't very good about that 1/8 inch, was I? Okay, and this is the neckline end. Boy, this is very tacky. I hate the trimming, yeah. I sometimes do too, honestly. It is kind of the more nerve-wracking part. All right. So that's where that notch was. When I was picking out my outfit today, I went through 3. I started with the uniform tunic as a dress that I made. That's by like Grain Line Studio. Yep, exactly. I know. Totally, Terry. It really spooks you. So I had that on, and then I changed to the Upton dress, and I was pretty committed to that, and then it just looked too dressy. So then I've been trying to, like, you know how occasionally you go through and you're like, I'm gonna wear something, excuse me, that I don't normally wear. So I was like going through the dregs of my back of my closet. And so I picked, excuse me, then I picked this one, the Hawthorne, because I really like this one. And, okay, so we want to stop a 1/4 inch from the top here, which is right there. I think this will work because we could press the seam one direction. All right, this one is a art gallery cotton lawn, this dress, and it's all French seamed on the inside. And man, French seams with cotton lawn, perfect chef's kiss pairing. The whole garment on the inside, it's like one of those rare garments that, I don't know, it just looks really good on the inside. I love the way this one looks. And I forget it until I have to turn it, I always have to iron the back neck facing and the edge of my pockets because they get a little crumpled in the laundry. Oh, and the placket. I have to iron the whole placket. Oh, I didn't do my darts. Let's do the darts really quick. But it really makes, French seams make it so easy to iron your garment because most of it doesn't need ironing for some reason, you know? It just looks so nice. I'll have to take a photo of it sometime. I don't know what it is about this particular garment that just really looks good with them, but it does. Okay. Oh, it's so satisfying. Hi, Elizabeth. Yeah. It just looks so crisp. Ugh. So good. All right, so here we are. Darts, shoulder, center front seam. Now we're going to do the facing. And the same thing. You're going to want to stop a 1/4 inch from the neckline edge. So we will draw it in again because, yeah, smart. All right, so I'm doing my 3/8 inch along the center front and then my 1/4 inch along the neck, which puts it like, well, I'm not going to color it because I don't want that to show. We'll stop right at that juncture, like that. See my dent? And there's my 3/8 inch seam. Could probably go like 1 stitch more up. If you want a nice V-neck, it's worth, you know, taking the care here. This is a pretty easy garment to sew. You might as well take some care, right? Oh, thanks, Sylvia. I know, cotton lawn. It's funny because we've talked about this before, how like, so there's my V, boop, boop, right? You know, I wish, and I'm totally guilty of this, but I wish we had more solids at fabric stores, and I know why they don't, because they probably don't sell as well, because prints are so like they're just so visual on the screen, right? And so the solids we get, there's usually like one palette and there's one fabric in that palette, and then certain colors sell out and then you're left with like 3 or 4. And it's very understandable, honestly, but people forget we need solids, you know? And the lawns always come in prints because they're like quilting cotton companies that are doing a lot of them, you know, like art gallery. So it's kind of like some of the lawns are fine, but some of them I'm just like, no, I don't want that. Even this one's kind of like, it's pretty loud, but these were 2 of my favorite colors together for a really long time. All right, collar to back neck. Okay, so we have this, we have our facing in our front, we have our collar and our back here. Get rid of some of these threads. So now this has a very interesting construction because when we put this little collar on, we're putting it on with the shoulders unsewn. And what that does is it makes a longer shoulder seam here, right? And then we are going to attach the, I think the facing, we're going to do the shoulders and then we're going to do the facing. Oh, let me see. Oh, collar to neck, back neck, shoulders, body and facing, facing to neckline, stitching the ditch. I feel like I'm not doing that in the right order. I'm doing that in the right order, right? Because don't you do the, oh, interesting. Wait a minute. I did this for my sample, but now I'm forgetting. Okay, so one back collar to facings. Is there two of these? Oh, I only have one of these. That's what's wrong. I was like, wait a minute. I know how to sew. Well, good thing we have that little bit of fabric here. That's funny. We'll just cut this out real quick. I'm like, wait, I know how to sew this and it's not possible with what I have in front of me here. Let's iron this a little bit. It's not hard to sew at all. It's just not the typical order of operations when you are doing collars and facings. This is my garbage can. Just in case you're wondering what that weird little thing is. It just works over here. Okay. We just need to iron the interfacing on here. What we can do is iron it first. Trim it off. Okay. I just wanted to warm him up a little bit. I felt like his buddy was all toasty and he wasn't, you know. All right, that makes more sense. Okay, now we have our back. Let's get rid of this and put you here and you here. All right, so we have our back collar here and we're gonna sew this 1/4 inch seam. Let's find our center, which I have it notched. It's just got ironed interfaced over right there. We could do this one right now too, since we didn't do it when we cut it out. We're going to sew this 1/4 inch seam. So I figured out that it was 1/4 inch seam because it didn't work when I used the 3/8 on my muslin. I love it when that works so good. This is such a good demonstration pattern for not using pins. Like you can use pins, it's fine. But you saw, like, I kept the collar straight and I just moved this around to meet it. Worked really good, didn't it? All right, so let's see, we have this, and now we're going to sew our back neck, our other one that we just cut out, or I just cut out, to our front facing here. Three-eighths of an inch. I feel like I'm using 3/8, but man, that one looks a little large right there. All right. So now we're going to shoulders, body, and facing to neckline, stitch in the ditch. So we have this, see how this shoulder, here's the front with the dart, and that dart seam lines up with this neck seam here. See that? So the dart is basically defining the neckline a little bit. That's why I say that one was a perfect example, Terry, because it's not always that easy, right? That was a very short section, you know. That's the one that people use in a video. And then when you go to try it on any other thing, you're like, that doesn't work. I'm honest about it. I see plenty of sewing videos where I'm just rolling my eyes like, yeah. Or I see that they edited it and they, start on the right side. Something went wrong. Oh, French seam! Fiona, where have you been? How are you, Fiona? How is Sam doing? Yeah, sorry. Let's take that out. See, this is how we make it take longer. We just make a few mistakes. Man, I did both shoulders. Couldn't you have said that sooner? Totally your fault. Just teasing. Fiona coming in clutch. Absolutely. Okay. There's one. We only have to remember this on the side seam and then on the sleeves, but we only have one sleeve, so. You're fine, Fiona. Thank you for saying anything. I'm sure there's at least one or two people that were like, didn't she say she was going to do French seams? Oh, well, she's probably got a plan, and just respect that they didn't want a backseat sew, You just never can win, right? You're like, am I backseat sewing or am I going to be helpful? I'm open to everything. Backseat sew all you like. I'll tell you when to stop. When you stop being clutch. All right. Oops, I thought I got all this one. There we go. Ooh, googly doogly. Let's try that again. He's much the same. Thanks for asking. All right, well, I guess that's what we can hope for right now. All right. So what are your guys' fall sewing plans? Like, do you have any, or some of you are going into summer, you know? Yeah, I'm glad you did too, Fiona. I know, like, I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, shoot, I almost said something, but I didn't want to tell you what to do, you know? Like, you guys are always so respectful. There's a little bit of lint in the start of this seam right here that makes it look dirty, you know? Like, it caught a piece of lint underneath. I probably need to clean under my throat plate. Maybe we could do that at the end of the stream, because it's been a bit. The curve, nope, we're gonna enclose it. Yeah, we're okay there because the facing, remember how I just cut that second collar attached to the facing? That's going to enclose it. Because at the end of the day, it still is a facing. Oh, wait. What was I just doing? I started ironing the neckline because we were talking about the neckline. That's so funny. I think that these could both use trimming as well. I need to put this little, there we go. It's so hard trimming just a tiny bit off when your French seams are so small. I do really like small French seams though. I also like just 5/8 inch seam allowance ones though. I think they look a little less stiff inside the garment, you know? So. Yeah, I get it, Sylvia. That's awesome though. I didn't iron these the other way. Probably going to attempt some Hepburns. Oh, that's right, in several fabrics. Okay. Your autumn pants or trousers, there aren't jeans, a heather blazer, button-up shirts, and possibly a trench coat. That sounds great. You've been thinking about the trench coat for a while. I'm reading chat while I arrange my thingies. Sienna Maker jacket from Closet Core out of a jet setter twill. Oh, that sounds great. I want to do a trench too, but I'm not sure I will get to it. I like the Maker jacket too. I think it has a really great look. I was thinking about, what was it the other day? I think I might make the Sylvan jacket again. And I might make it out of one of the corduroys that I bought. So one corduroy will be in a blazer and the other one will be in the Sylvan. The Sylvan has more of a like casual, you know, vibe. So. Hi Dimples. I'm using an 8700-7. industrial. I'm going to say industrial just because I think a lot of people know I also have a home Juki, and this is not it. You have a pattern but no fabric. I'm not sure what fabric we wear. Cotton twill. Yeah. Yeah. Cortland trench, Dawn jeans, Hepburn's, Heather blazer. Oh, a Heather blazer in Ankara. Yeah, when will I just sleep? And there's a video on my channel if you are interested in getting a machine like this, Dimples. And it goes through like just kind of the nitty gritty of all about it. The Santa is fun. Okay, I gotta focus here. So are we starting fall sewing then? Like, are you guys like September, right? Because the Hepburns, you guys are talking, I saw you guys talking about those Hepburns, maybe September. All right, so here's my neck, right? So now I have my shoulders done, right? My back neck collar, my back collar is there, back neck collar, right? And so now here we have our facing. So it just goes right on top. And we're gonna sew this along the top edge there. And I think I will offset these seams since they're Frenched, you know. You saw summer design here. I saw this whole funny, I mean, I don't know if it was meant to be funny, but there was someone complaining about, what was it? It was like, if you have a fan, what was her beef? Basically, she was just like, if you have AC or you have a fan, then you need to stop complaining about how hot it is. And this British guy got on, he was like, you know, here's the deal. Your hot is different than our hot. We are in a heat wave when it hits 75 here. And I was like, oh, okay, because my AC is set for 78. And that was good perspective, you know, like I do believe the Brits when they say it's really hot, but I really loved hearing that was the benchmark. It was kind of funny. I was like, okay, good to know. I will, you know, definitely think about that. You saw like I do, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Oh, nice, Danny. Pants don't take long, yeah. Oh, that's great. Are you going to do the, what's your pocket situation on your Hepburns, Terry? The thing with seasons here is that they tend to change from one day to the next. Yeah. Yeah, you know, my husband, he sort of grew up in Colorado, right? He moved away when he was 11. So, you know, his memory of it is going to be different. I've lived there a few times as an adult, 20 and above. And for 2 stints, let's see, 2 of those stints I worked on a farm, and then one of them I worked for a athletic apparel company. And the crazy thing about Colorado is that the temperature can shift 80 degrees in one day, from morning to evening or evening to morning, whatever. 80 degrees, and that isn't uncommon, like at all. Like it's very common. So you could start the day wearing a parka and end it wearing shorts, or vice versa. It can be sunny and 80 in the morning and snowing in the afternoon. That's how Colorado is. It's kind of incredible. And he's experiencing that right now. He's like, this crazy storm just came in. I'm like, yeah, you really got to be prepared at all times there for everything. All right, I know people are like, you're doing it so long for the styler. Please stop talking. Here we go. I'm going to start the shoulder. I'm going to go down. I'm going to pivot at that point that we stopped sewing at the center front, right? We stopped sewing 1/4 inch from the neckline on the facing, and on the center front, we're going to, you know, juncture it there. So, yeah, it's crazy. Like the shift is, it's nuts. All right, here it is. Okay, here we go. Can you guys see okay? Yeah. All right, so here we are at that juncture, and you're seeing my outer front on top. This is the French seam one, and here is the facing. So I'm gonna put the facing, I'm gonna spread it open, like I'm gonna tip the seam open. And I'm going to line this up. I really think it helps to sew your seams, keeping them in the shape they're gonna be, so don't distort them. You saw me sort of distort that shoulder when I sewed the back neck when I sewed the collar on. That was a little different. This is, actually, you know what? We're not going to press it open. I'm gonna press it so that the seam allowance, see the seam allowance here? I'm gonna press it toward me until I pivot, and then I'm gonna pivot it away. So I'm gonna pivot right on top of my seam there. I have to kind of walk it, right? And now I'm going to pivot. My needle, my presser foot is up. I'm pulling the facing underneath, sort of straightening it out. And now I'm pushing the seam allowance of that facing the other way. And I actually think, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna back stitch here. Let's put this back the way it was. We're gonna back stitch. I feel like I just back stitched crooked. And now I'm gonna start again, so that I can press this facing this way. And I'm not sewing through that seam allowance, and it's actually loose. And we're just being really careful, like just take it one stitch at a time when you're not sure about something. You can always go back and you always have more options, right? And so now we're gonna go back up. If I were being more technical, I would have gone from the shoulder down to the center front on one side and the shoulder down the center front on the other side. This matches really easily though, so I'm not too worried about any distortion, so. Hi Gail, how's it going? Let me go back up here. Oh, yeah, okay. I actually like the inseam pocket idea, Terry. I think that's one pet peeve I have with slash pockets, is that they gape at the hips depending on how you're shaped, and they gape on me, you know? So, I thought our weather variable, yeah, Colorado's crazy. That whole, like, near the Rocky Mountains, yeah. Please don't stop talking. This is the actual garment, Nora. It's just white. Oh, man. Did I just call you Nora? Kathleen, sorry. I'm helping someone somewhere named Nora, so I just said that. I'm sorry. Okay, see you, Danny. Have a good one. Yeah, you know what I like, Terry, is I like just curved jean pockets. I like those. They're easy to get my hands in. You know? All right, so let's see what I got here. So see how I left this seam allowance loose there and loose on this side? We don't want a hole, right? But what I'm trying to do is make sure that I don't distort anything with this seam allowance. So right here on this one, I didn't get quite at the perfect top. So let's see how it is when we turn it to the inside. See how fussy it is? Before we start fussing with it, I try and see, like, what am I up against, right? So I can see a little bit of stress right here, and I think that that is the side that I went, yeah, one stitch past the seam on this one. So in other words, here's my seam of my center front seam of the facing, and my neck seam is right here, see? But on this side, right here, I nailed it because it was the side that was up. So here, I almost dropped the all-in Loki. Here is my seam. They kind of meet right there. So let's see if we can kind of finesse it a little bit. So we're going to take out like one stitch and see if we can sort of get that a little nicer. These are the kinds of things that I think really, really frustrate a sewer. And I'm here to tell you it's worth practicing and playing around with these kinds of things, you know? So you just need to, you can time them out, Terry. Let's just test it out. Let's just test out. They may need a timeout. It's worth it to just kind of fuss around with it, because these are the kinds of things that really help you learn, like, spatially what's happening with the garment and what's happening with the seam. And then once you kind of play around with it, you go, oh, that affected that when I did this. So if I had done the other thing, what would have happened? You know what I mean? All right, so let's sew it from this side this time. Thanks, Terry. I'm gonna use the hand wheel, walk it, one stitch. There we go. Maybe that'll do better. Let's see. So now when we turn it, did it get less puckery? I think it did. See, we got rid of those puckers there. I'm kind of feeling like I lucked out. All right, so I'm gonna press this open. Let's go and fuss with it at the iron now. Oops, this one. Yeah, this is like the Donnie. I saw someone say that. You're right. I kind of think it is too. So this seam here isn't pressed yet. We got to sort of pick one way too. Honestly, I probably could have caused myself more of a problem by unpicking the stitch there, because you know how sometimes you'll unpick part of a seam but not all of it, and then the end of the thread is poking out. Oh, that turned out, it looks good on this side. Let's hope it looks good on the outside. So I kind of want to press this facing seam first. So let's see, I want to press it toward the facing. So I'm going to press my neckline seam toward the facing. I've been trying to memorize which is the easier way. And if I press it towards the facing, when I turn the facing to the inside, see it kind of curls the top around. Whereas if I press this seam allowance towards the body, like this, like I'll show you the difference. It's only taking me 30 years to memorize this, right? So if I press the seam allowance towards that and I turn this to the inside, it rolls the seam to the right side. Hopefully you can see that pretty good, right? So press your seam allowance toward the facing. Towards the side that's getting pushed into the garment, which is very logical, right? Very cutesy, very demure. I'm curious if anyone will get that. Look at me pressing my facing, very demure, very cutesy. Come on. There we go. This is when you want an ironing board, right? Not the, not the mat. It's just nice having the nose of the ironing board. Wait, what's that? Oh, you want to go this way. Sorry. I was already telling you to go one way. And then I ironed you the other. It's so confusing. Okay. Why are you seeing it? I'll tell you about it sometime. I'm just sewing here. I'm streaming here. Very cutesy. I'm very demure. I'm not coming at you with advertisements and loud things. I'm very demure. Yeah, this is so awkward for me too. All right, here we go. So now I've got my garment right side out and I'm just pushing the facing to the inside here. And now we'll press it along the same, I was just pressing that towards the facing and now I'm just pressing it along the seam. I just find it easier because it's a flat surface to have the garment right side out and then I do the bottom side. And we want to get this in the shape. Is Monica here? I can't see, the chat's so far away. All right, we're here at the center front now. Let's put this here. Okay, there's my V. Place it where I want it, right? Look at that. You know, very demure, very boss-like. Yeah. All right, so now I think we want to, pretty sure, do we turn under this edge? Maybe we want, I might stitch under this edge. It's always great when you do a muslin because you can kind of cheat, you know. Let's get this a little bit even. I think that's supposed to be left out. Maybe we want to bind the edge. Let's talk about it. Okay, Googled it. Hello, Anne. How's it going? Nice to see you. Welcome home. Hello, Monica. Nice to see you. Oh, I like the camera on that ironing board over there. I wish the lighting was as good over here as it is over there, and I have all these lights over here. I don't know why. Lighting is a challenge. It's a challenge. 35 degrees Celsius. Nice. That's like 75-ish, right? Perfect. You dislocated your shoulder? Oh my goodness, Anne. I'm sorry. Okay, let's look at our V from this side. Yeah, that worked out. I think that looks pretty good. See, that's thread. See, I knew it. There we go. Yeah, right, Monica? Okay, so I'm pretty sure this facing is left hanging free, except at the back neck we're going to stitch in the ditch. They call it sink stitch. They call it sink stitch. I like that. But I think that the along the front facing, yep, just the back collar. Yeah, so maybe what we could do is bias bind it. So the options we have, since we did the French seaming, right? I could overlock this, you know, I know. But what are your options when you're trying to you don't have an overlock or you don't want to. So you could Hong Kong finish this edge. And then when we go to sink stitch this, or stitch in the ditch, it just catches it, it's fine. The other thing you can do is just turn under the edge and edge stitch it. I've done that. In fact, this dress is like that, works great. Yeah, right, Terry, I think we could. And we have, I'm just getting worried this little scrap of fabric is like a half a sleeve, and I probably do have actually some washed. Let's see, I'm not sure this is washed. That could work. We just need a little bit, so what we could do is figure out how much we need. Okay, so we need like this much. I'll show you how I pre-wash binding when I'm at work. And we'll save this just in case. I'm kind of hoping someone at Hearts has like a scrap of this fabric in their stash. Where's my, oh, here it is. I normally would like soak this in the sink. Yeah, right, me too, Terry. I know, because it's white, I'm kind of like, we'll just stick with something simple. This does have a little bit of a, can you even see it? It's got little dots. It's the binding from the website. We'll iron it dry. This is my pre-wash method. See, this looks like it's been washed when I look at that edge right there, but I can kind of tell it hasn't. This, I am making you watch this because this is your reminder that if you don't pre-wash your bias and then you wash your garment, you're going to be very, very unhappy because of what happens to the bias when it shrinks. It just pulls everything in. It's not good. It's not cutesy. It's not demure. This doesn't take long. Not with this iron. I sort of enjoy it. Michael thought he was helping me out the other day, poor guy, and he washed that floral linen I showed you at the beginning of the stream. And I was like, no, because I wanted to iron it dry, and I was at home. And my iron at home, it would have just taken me 12 years to do it. So I'm just going to have to live with the fact that I may have to iron that blazer every time I wear it. I miss this iron when I'm at home. I've even like gone as far as thinking, you know what, I'll just bring my outfit and iron it when I get to work. So bad. It's just water, Michelle, yeah. That I was just like soaking it. Yeah. I did a little post in the guild in the quick fixes about preventing wrinkles, all about that. Very unironed. I mean, some things fine, but my blazer, it's so tricky to iron those, you know? It's so tricky to iron blazers because it's so like, there's so many little pieces. So we're just going to Hong Kong finish this. So I'm going to do this right sides together. I'm just starting at a shoulder seam. Kind of, oh, the iron. That is a hot steam. It's from Waywack. I can't remember. Hot steam. It's linked. if you go to my website, which I can actually, no, that's not what I want to do. This is what I want to do. I can take you there. There's a list of the things I use on there. Hot steam gravity feed. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, there's a list of the things there, and you might be able to find something similar in Germany, Sylvia. Hi, Jan. How's it going? Did you do camp this year? That's funny, Nancy. For me, I don't mind ironing at all. It's kind of like washing dishes. I also don't mind washing dishes. Anytime my hands are just sort of busy and I can kind of daydream, I kind of like that. In fact, I used to really think there was no way ever in this lifetime that I would iron bed sheets or even the tablecloth or pillowcases or anything like that. And the other day, for the very first time in my life, I ironed the ends of my pillowcase and the end of my sheets because they keep getting wrinkled and it drives me crazy. So, you know, 200 euros. This one was about $130. I really love it. This is what it looks like. It's got a shoe on it, right? There's like a Teflon shoe, so it's a non-stick. Okay, I'm going to tell you. I love this iron, and I am super committed to it, but I'm going to tell you all the things that bug me. I can't tell when it's on or off, so I put this sticker on here that says on. That's me. Because when it's off and when it's on, if the light doesn't come on, I can't tell. All right? Because if it's hot and it's already heated up, the light won't come on. The other thing is, this is bloody hot. I can hold it here right now, but if I touch any of this, it's very hot. The other thing, I have a lot of trouble turning this dial right here. So I have this. This is a light bulb remover for a sewing machine. So you know how your sewing machine bulb it's like that narrow oblong bulb, and it's really hard to grab. I remembered I had this thing, and it works over the knob. And so I have that line drawn on there so I know where it's at and I can turn my knob, barely. But I can barely turn, I can't even turn it really. So I just leave it there. Logistically dealing with the gravity feed, like the fact that you have to have a pole or something to hold it, it's something to bear in mind. I know people who have them and just will rearrange their sewing room and then they can't set it back up, you know. So it's a little strategic. Worth it though. And then this one, I don't know if you can see this, but I got a stand for mine. See this thing here? I got this stand recently and I really, really like it. So it's a freestanding like stand. That's all it is. It's a pedestal for the iron, and that's all it's for. And I actually was kind of bummed that I had to get something like that. But let me tell you, this iron is really, really hot. And this little silicone pad, this thing that they give you, it slides around. Look at, see how it tips off? See? If you don't get it right on there, do you see that? It starts sliding off. And one time during a Zoom with my community, my iron was on, and I have this, I have a pole mounted to my table right here. See, it's screwed in there. Okay? And I have cords attached to that. So it's like streamlined as much as I can. So one time during a Zoom, my iron had slid off that silicone pad and onto my wooden table. and it was burning it. And I didn't smell anything. I didn't see anything. And yeah, it was not good. I can see a little hole right there. So, and that table permanently has a burn mark in it, and that really freaked me out because, you know, fire's always on our mind here. So that made me kind of go down this whole like, oh, how am I going to hold my iron so it won't slide off the silicone pad? What can resist it? So that's when I got my ironing board out, because my ironing board has a iron holder on the end, and that worked. But here, I don't really have the space for an ironing board, so I got the ironing stand. And this table, my husband made me for my computer, so I could stand and work at the computer. And I just stole it for the iron. So that's my whole long story about this iron. All of this is in a post in the guild, too, I think. I think I need to reinforce this. Look. See that? We need to reinforce it a little bit. Good we know now. So the Hong Kong finish is kind of like binding, but much easier. So you just sew it right sides together, and then you turn it to the wrong side, but you don't turn it under. You just leave the edge raw. It's really easy. This is how I finish all my facings lately. It's like my current favorite way. It's all my husband's tropical shirts or camp shirts or whatever. And see, it looks like that. Very cutesy. Very demure. Are you sick of me saying that yet? Yeah, the slipping is huge, huge thing. Like, not to be really dramatic, because I don't think I am very, like, dramatic about certain things here. If I had gone home that day, because the iron was still new to me, and it's hard to tell. At the time, I couldn't tell when it was on or off. Looking at it didn't tell me anything. You'd have to touch it. And so if I had walked out the door that day, because doing a Zoom, I'm not like in my normal, like whatever I'm working on, right? Maybe I stopped whatever I was working on, did the Zoom, my iron was on. I probably was using the iron during the Zoom, whatever. If I had just walked out the door and my iron sat there on that wooden table, I would have burned the building down, you know? So it's one of those things that you should absolutely, with 100% certainty, make sure you know that even if you left it on all night, it would be fine. And you can also get a smart plug, because I know people who have smart plugs and they can turn it off from their phone no matter where they are. So I think that was my next step, is I was going to do something like that. Yeah, exactly. It does not have an auto thingy. Oh, that's great, Mullen. The timer, that's a good idea. The stand I got at Waywack as well. It was like $100. It's really scary, yeah. So, you know, you all know that my office is in a fire traumatized area already. So, yeah. And I didn't leave it on overnight, and I did see it because I do check every time I leave. But just imagine if I hadn't, you know. It's very, very scary. So now the next part of the Hong Kong finish is I'm just stitching in the ditch right here. There's nothing like pulling the camera down, right? I'm stitching in the ditch right here. You can stitch on the edge too, but when you stitch kind of next to it or in the ditch, I don't consider this the ditch because the seam isn't pressed open. It's like you're kind of in the ditch, but you're not really. This isn't the ditch. It just looks kind of magical. It looks like, how is that staying like that? You know, so it's cool. Yeah, right, Terry, you go down, and I can't, like, my office is up here, but you could better believe if I was worried about it, I'd drive up here. Shem has a smart plug, and that's what he does. I think the timer's a good idea, too. The other thing is, like, say you have a power outage, right? No, bias doesn't unravel. See, it doesn't unravel. That's what's great about bias. Certain ones will, like if you're doing like a linen or a gauze, double gauze as bias, it might unravel a little bit. it'll get messy looking. But like if you had a power outage and your iron, you just were like, oh, I guess I'll stop sewing for the day, and you leave, and your iron was on. Some irons aren't going to kick on and heat up. This one would. You know, so it's another thing to think about. All right, I want to look at this. Is this a hole an issue? See, there's the thread. I knew, I called it. But I'm glad it's there. We can get rid of it right now. So let's see. So do I deal with that or not? Like when it's like this, it's not technically a hole. And it may be the thing that makes the V look the nicest is having that little gap in there, you know? Because we're going to secure this facing to the center front seam right there. Oh, that's great. Your out the door checklist. That's great. Your new sewing machine just got delivered, and I jokingly asked the UPS man if he would bring it upstairs for me. Oh, I love that. The FedEx driver says things like that to me too, and I'm like, you can just put it on the porch. It's fine. It's already kind of a trek up our driveway. Okay, so now we're going to do what I love that they call sink stitch. I've never heard that term before, but it's stitch in the ditch. And so here's our back neck here. It looks like I got ironed. I didn't mean for it to get ironed. We want this seam allowance going up into the neckline there. I'm going to iron that real quick. So here's how it's looking, right? So we're just going to iron this neck seam up into the neck. And I think I'm going to iron this shoulder seam back here. I know I'm going to. Like that. Because we're about to stitch between these 2 points from the right side, and we're going to catch this facing here. Okay. So we only stitch down between these 2 points, and then we tack the front facing down there. It's kind of nice when you have a little movement under this edge. So I wouldn't stitch it down. Like you don't want to trade one problem for another. You got a Juki HZL. Wait, the react button is over her letters. I saw Juki is teasing a new machine right now. I have an affiliate link now for Juki machines. I'll share it at some point. I'm just haven't gotten around to it. I'm so bad. All right, so here we are. So can you see? So I'm sewing from the right side right now, right? This is my back. This is my collar. Can you see my bias edge kind of peeking through there, right? So let's get this all arranged. I would like this top edge to look a little nicer. So one little tip I suggest, my fabric is super easy to deal with and some aren't gonna be. I would pin along the middle of the collar, the length here. This way when you're trying to arrange it, you don't pull this too far and over rotate the inside facing coming to the right side, right? So, and then I'm gonna get this in the shape of the neckline like this. It'll sit better on you if you do. And we're going to just stitch in that ditch or sink stitch. We're stuck on the hump there. Let's see. So I'm trying to pull it apart and stitch right there in that seam. It's not going to pull apart great because that seam allowance isn't pressed open. It's just like on the Hong Kong. Oh, I forgot my label. It's okay. There we go. See you, Monica. Have a nice dinner. I'm making sure everyone behaves while you're gone. The main troublemaker is off at camp anyway. Do I know anything about the... No, I don't, Susan. I saw it on their Instagram. I'm not in the know. Sorry. It has a buttonhole foot that plugs into the machine. Not as fancy as the E1, but better. Ooh, okay, cool. I'm excited to hear more about it. All right, let's secure our center front facing. So I'm going to very carefully position this. And so I'm kind of like making sure that this is all laying nice and flat, right? If this seam is not lining up with your seam here and it wants to sit a different way, let it. You don't want it to pull, right? So one of the ways you can secure this facing to the seam here is just by picking it up and sewing it, right? Now another way you could do it by hand, you could sew it by hand. You could also sew it in the ditch from the right side and just tack right there. My favorite way half the time is to do this. It's just to pick it up. I kind of pick it up and then I sew from inside this little like pocket, right? You could try from here, but if you go like this, you're likely going to get this shirt to sneak under. So that's why I just kind of do it from the inside. So let me get it arranged here. And I'm just going to sew in the seam allowance and the facing. I know the stitches are visible in my facing. I could do a better job, but it's fine. See, right? It's very secure. I don't know what it is about securing facing stitches down. No matter how I do it, no matter how I do this, when it's on my shoulders, they always wear out. So I think there's a lot of abrasion on my shoulders. So anytime I do the stitch in the ditch, I'm like, I'm going to back stitch it 6 times this time. It still wears out and my facings start flopping around again. So don't stress too hard on it. You might be redoing it in a couple of years. So, all right, so there we go. There's our... We spent a lot of time on this, huh? So I thought I just turned it right side out. There we go. There we go. That looks cute. It's got kind of a, I don't know, doctor vibe right now in the white, huh? Looks better in person. And there's my Hong Kong finish inside. Looks nice, right? All right, so we're just gonna do our side seams and our hem now. So let's do our side seams. And I'm trying to decide, can I do my... I shortened this 2 inches, by the way, yesterday because of the fabric issue. I thought that was going to solve it, and it didn't. If I do a French seam like this, can I still do the rolled hem? I can. It's a very tiny rolled hem. It has a Japanese look to it in some ways, I think. I was going to say that, but then it looked more clinical in the white, maybe. It kind of has that kind of collar vibe. So, I love a great figure due to space. I have concerns about variance. Yeah. Oh, there are lots of irons that you can get that don't shut off. I'm not aware of the brands, though. Yeah, that's true, Terry. You'll never take that hammer out of our hands. The Aliso. You know, I found 3/4 sleeves. You could make them long. That'd be pretty easy to do. I would just put the lengthen line above the darts. I think it'd be cute. Hammer eats machine. Okay, let's trim this and iron it. I took great care in putting this little shelf. Can you even see this? Let's see. This is my iron shelf. This is like a cell phone holder, right? So I could look at chat. This is interfacing. This is just pins and marking pins, scissors. This is a bin and it has a seam ripper and it's scissors. And that's where my that's where I've been putting this. This right here is just stiffener inside here, and so like you can, it's like, it acts like a ham. All right, and then this is interfacing scraps. And then I had gotten this iron rest, and now I'm using it kind of as a decoration. And then I hung my rulers there too. So I'm really liking this setup. I spent a little time getting it right, you know? It's worth it. I debate doing a video on my new office because I don't think it's as cute as you guys want it to be, and I don't want to disappoint you. It's like, you know, when you see behind the mask. Filming setups are just not cute. They're just not cute. There's a reason you don't see very many of them. I can't even watch certain things now because all I think about is how they did it. It's so bad. Yeah, I just thought that the other day. I was like, I love this little iron rest, you know? I'm just going to put it on the wall. And I can still use it. It does work. You know, like it is kind of nice when I want the iron to sit right here. Like I just go, you know, I'm setting it down a lot. It's kind of nice. But this stand has kind of worked really good for that. And my husband just found this table kit, or not kit, I'm sorry, pattern online and made it for me. It's cute. He painted the base of it yellow. This right here, this piece of wood has this whole story with it, which you guys will probably find boring. And the mat, I've always liked the wool mat. It really holds the heat. And then so you're going to sometimes see this. This is a waterproof barrier because I'm paranoid because of the steam. So my very first setup with the wool mat was on a gorilla shelf with the wooden shelf. It's like a metal shelf with a wooden, metal frame, wooden shelves. And I would slip the cutting mat underneath it to store it, and it totally warped that cutting mat. And it also ruined the surface of the wooden table. So I didn't want that to happen again. So I put the barrier under there. It's a test. Is this the one I just did? Did I do both? I know I did do this one. I did. Okay. That was fast. Yeah, I think that tunics, I struggle with tunics too, Anne, as far as the shape goes. This is at my new space. I have not done a tour. I'm still kind of like sorting it out. You say that, Mullen, but I know for other people, they're like, we want practical, we don't want cute. Exactly. And you know what, I will say, when I was really frustrated over the background here, because you know what, the one thing I didn't count on here, oh, I'm out of frame, thank you. One of the things I didn't count on here is the ceilings here are regular height, and in my old place, they were really tall, and I don't like seeing the ceiling in the camera, and that's not something I considered at all. I like it because it's cozier for sound. It doesn't echo, you know? So I don't have carpet in here, and it's been fine. It's not echoey, which is great. That makes cleanup really easy. And it makes it I can roll my chair really easily, right? But I was like, you know what? I'm going to Google camera backgrounds. And I tried to find specific ones to what I do. There was like one person, and I was really thankful. I was like, oh, this is fun seeing her setup and how she's dealt with her sewing machine or camera. She has like a camera in the corner of the room, so you could see the whole room if you wanted. And I was like, it didn't even cross my mind if it was cute or not. I was so practical. You're right. I guess maybe I should do something like that sometime. All right. Oh yeah, this doesn't work. I know how to do this. Why did I just do this way? So what's up? Man, so funny. I've got a lot of things in my brain. You know, you sometimes don't know that you need to do it a certain way until you see it and you're like, oh, right, that's what I was supposed to do. It's kind of like a vent, and that's why I was like, it's not a vent, so I don't really think I have to do it. It's kind of like a vent. Will this even work, though? I don't know. Hey, look at that. Didn't do the command, though. See, the command didn't stay. The command stopped again. I don't know what's up with those things. They plagued us for like a day, right? So let's see if we can figure this out. So this has one of those really interesting hems. So it's not a shirt tail, right? Like it's not like a typical button-down shirt where when you get to the side seam, right, usually you go like this, right? This one goes like this and stops. Kind of like the Callie shirt dress, right? Hi, Amy. How's it going? So if I do this to here, that won't help either. If I might have to think about this. No, I don't think that this is possible with a French seam without getting a raw edge somewhere. I can clip it and I'll get a raw edge. So I could do this and then clip the seam allowance, right? And then hem it. But you would have this, the top edge of the clip right there would be raw. So yeah, you could do it. It wouldn't be proper or correct, right? So if I did it like this, if I went to a point here, I could clip it and turn it down. No. I think, honestly, a facing is the best way to go. I'm sewing in my head. If I hemmed this first, what does that look like? Let's say that this is hemmed. Let's say that this is hemmed already. Okay, this is hemmed. What happens now? If this stops here, if this stops here, I think I think if I stop up high, no, or yes. If I stop up high, I could turn, all right, let's try something. I don't know if this is gonna work. I need to trim this down a little bit more. We're gonna kind of use some of the techniques of the French seam with a side vent, where we make that J, right? So we need to trim this seam allowance down. This isn't gonna work. This isn't gonna work. I know it now. Okay. Well, shoot, dang. If I do that, okay. If I shorten my first seam, I don't know if this is gonna work. We'll see. This might be a bit of a workaround. Let's see. So if I do this first seam and I end it higher up than where it needs to officially end, all right? So we're gonna do a back stitch. I don't know. Like, what is that? It's like a 1/2 inch from the bottom. I think more would be better, but we'll see though. So I'm gonna put my back stitch back right there. All right, so that's the first seam. Now if I do this one, a little bit longer than that, no, I just don't think this is gonna work. If we do this one, okay, that ends there, and if we go further, maybe. Let's try. Sorry, guys. I thought about this and I was like, oh yeah, that's fine. It's not fine. So let's see here. Wait, we already did that. Oh my gosh. I'm looking at this from the wrong side. Okay. So if I do this longer, oh, I almost had it, but I was on the other side and it was working. So if I leave this undone and then this, no, I think this might work. Let's see. Okay, let's see here. This, I don't know. I think I traded one problem for another. Okay, but I could conceivably hem this now, but I have more raw. And I think the thing to do then, you know how sometimes you see those shirts and they have like a little like triangle right here over the seam? I think that's where we're heading. I think that's where we're heading. And the reason I wanted to leave the first seam shorter than the second seam, so here's my first one and here's my second one, is so that I have, it's not bound up right here, so when I turn it to hem it, this is loose. Yeah, I think the top stitch triangle is going to be our lifesaver here. All right, so let's shorten this one a tiny bit, and we'll hem this shirt. We'll get this back. I really hate it when French seaming fails us. You know what I mean? Like, no, don't turn people off of French seaming. It's so nice. Okay, so I'm just going to put my back stitch back in place on this first seam here. Look at me troubleshooting. Very cutesy, very demure. All right, so now we'll be here. Okay, so now this is my machine coming unthreaded. Okay. There's like fuzz that gets into this little thing, and it's kind of like a belly button. It's kind of funny. All right. So now we'll go all the way down. See, now we have this little messy thing there. Okay. I feel the same way you guys about this kind of hem, by the way. I don't really like it either. Stylark's doing us dirty on this kind of hem because I don't want to do that. Let's iron it a little bit, just a little bit. I feel like I'm cheating, but you know. What's the front? This is the back that way. So let's iron this back that way. Now we'll press this open, right? Because see, we wouldn't be able to do that if the French seam, first seam, came all the way down. So that's why I released it right there, you know? And then, like I'm saying, like, put a triangle over this right here, you know? That's my plan. Making sure I got that nice and flat because it looked like I had a little bit of a blump going on there. There we go. All right. What's going on down here? I think we might need like a stitch to sort of shape it. You know? You know, lots of straight lines make a curve. Right? I think a facing would be easier in some ways, but you'd have to also deal with it up here. This is the kind of thing that it's nice they have this kind of hem because it's different, you know, but it really is kind of hard to sew. And just telling you to hem it, without any tips, I think you see, this is where I say, like, they don't need to teach you how to sew, but when you are doing something that's not commonly seen, a few pointers on how they would recommend doing it would be welcome, you know? Like, yeah, prove it. That's really what we're saying. Prove you can do it too. That kind of instruction, and this isn't actually like snark towards Stylark at all, but when I see that kind of instruction, it really reminds me, like it pops into my head almost every time, but I've told you guys this story where I used to work at a big factory. I freelanced at this one. So it wasn't bum equipment and it wasn't the outdoor stuff. It was a teen brand. So it was all teen age supposed clothing, right? Super trendy. You know, the fashion moved fast through it, right? So it was kind of fast paced that way. And the designers there, they were kind of like a typical designer like you would see in a movie, where they were kind of snobby young women, kind of mean girl-ish. I'm laughing as I say this just because it is kind of funny to say, but I thought it was funny at the time. Because at first I was a little intimidated by them because those girls never really liked me. But then I was like, wait a minute, why am I intimidated by these girls? They only know how to do sketches. Like, these were like the typical designers in school that wouldn't learn how to do pattern drafting or grading or sewing. They didn't know how to sew very well. And they would just make cute sketches and tell you to do it, right? And you would be in there going, this isn't possible. They'd give you a sketch. Just because you can draw it doesn't mean it's possible, right? And that's when I see instructions like that, I'm like, yeah, just because you say you have an idea of what you want this to look like, I don't know. So Sammy's about to pull off a miracle here to get this to work. So, yeah. You know what I mean? Hello. How's it going? I haven't seen you in a bit, RT. Binding, I don't think you can use binding because of the side seam juncture, and even if bias facing, you could. If you do the bias facing, I would do the bias facing, stop here, and then still do the triangle, right? So, me too, and me too. I think they should. Yeah, I think the stay stitch and pull it is what I'm going to do now here. So, let's you know, what about that shearing foot, Terry? Do you think that's overkill? The triangle's going to be on the inside, and the triangle is of my own design because I did the French seam. Yeah, right, Mullen? Yeah, you think it might help me out? I know, that's what I'm wondering. Maybe we could bust it out for the other one and just see. Because it seems kind of ideal for something like this. Really didn't give myself much to pull. Plus I didn't make the stitch length longer because when I do that, it makes tucks. So when you make it, the stitch is kind of short. You gather it up, but you also don't get as big of tucks because it's like spaces are smaller between the needle holes. Right, exactly, Terry. I've never figured that out. Bias facing, yeah. I think a bias facing could work, but you're still in a pickle here at the juncture if you have a French seam. Because think about your facing, because remember, this isn't a shirt tail hem. You don't have a right angle right here, right? It comes like this. So turning this top area. All right, so this is, yeah. Wait, I did two, didn't I? Oh, here's the other one. I did two on the same side. Where's my, that's this one, right? This one? Look at Loki. Oh, he's stirring, but the head outside he's doing a little stretch. The head outside of the Big sigh. It's a rough life for a pug. Okay. So this little foot I picked up, Terry had to remind me what it's for. It's for shirring. And it's amazing for putting a set-in sleeve. Hi, Debbie. How's it going? It is the Heart's fine cotton. It doesn't have a glossy finish, though, at all, or silky finish. It's pretty, just like a very cottony cotton, you know? Okay, so let's try it on this one here. This foot makes me nervous, and I don't know why. I think it's just because it's like a big table. Okay. Oh, this is genius. Oh my gosh, this is so much better than what I just did over there on the other side. Look at that, it's already done for me. So much better. So much better. Okay. So I use this for set-in sleeves sometimes if I'm not like making a how-to video or something. I'm just sewing like on my own. I'm gonna take this one out and put this in. You know, it's a shirring foot. I think that's what it's called. And their feet are really cheap for industrials. So you can kind of like experiment with them and find, you know, ones you like. Like I have an invisible zipper foot that's incredible. Yeah, and they're just like a few dollars at Waywack. So I'm telling you, industrials are so affordable on so many levels. Okay. Let's put it on this. It's just so much faster. I can be so accurate too. All right. Back to the iron. You got one too, Aisha? What kind of machine did you put it on? Which one? So now what I can do is just pull this and iron along this edge. It kind of gives me like a backstop, you know? Look at that. It's pretty good. I'll try to remember to put the the one I got on Waywack. I'll put it in my description for anyone else out there. Just kind of curious. Because it will work on, I think it's all high shank machines. You don't have to buy your the foot from your dealer if they don't have the foot, right? If they do, I like to buy things from the ones that go for my Juki, right? Like my home Juki, I'm going to buy things for it from them probably. I do luck out with my home Juki though, that all these things that go on my industrial go on the home Juki. They fit perfect. It's the same setup. But sometimes your company doesn't even have that kind of foot, you know, and then you could try other brands. Did I already do this one? This is so satisfying. Look at that. Look at that. I mean, yeah, I have the texture of that, but we're going to turn it under. So did I do all four? Yeah. Which is the one I pulled? Might be this one. It might be this one. You can tell. Okay. All right, let's hem. There. Thank you, Terry. Thank you. Terry can put a link in chat. That's great. Perfect, perfect. Yours is low shank, costs $5. Yeah. Yeah, Bernina's feet are pretty pricey. Oh, let's take this off. Sometimes I loosen my foot with the presser foot down, then I put it back on because I want to make sure that it's really well seated on there. I've never had a foot come off while I'm sewing, and it's still a fear. Oh, that's nice, Amy. All right, so I'm gonna start here at the top. I'm gonna try and get like part way up there. Make it look from the right side that everything is fine. There is nothing crazy happening back there, right? And then we'll hem around. I feel like I could use a smaller needle for this, to be honest. There's a lot of threads. Boy. You know what? If you do this, do both edges. Do the outermost cut edge and the edge you're turning. Do it both places. You'll have a better time than this. I don't want to do this. Oh my goodness. Okay. We're going to get around this one corner, but we're going to put the shearing foot back on for the others. Oh my goodness. Telling you, it's those 25-year-old designers that just expect you to do it. And the factory is like, nope, we're not doing this. We can do it for $50 per shirt. Holy. Whew. Glue stick would help. Mm-hmm. Getting all those little thread ends in there. I'll stop at this center back seam here. I'm not big on really narrow hems anyway. Like, I don't do them very often, so. Okay. I'm sorry, Anne. But the obi belt. Okay, let's try this. Let's do another row of stitching right where we plan on folding this. Like, you could even maybe do 3 rows. I mean, right, Aisha? Me too. Okay, yeah, that feels pretty good. That feels pretty good. Okay, I think that was the way to go. Let's try and make it look easy. I think I wouldn't put this second row in the middle between where you fold in the edge. I'd put it just like a hair's breadth towards the outer edge a little bit more. Because you need room when you fold it for this edge to fit in there, right? So yeah, that's a lot easier. Look at that. I can just do it just sitting here like this. See? And it stays. Okay, Okay, we're making this easier. This is what we're doing. We're making this easier for somebody who has this foot. Okay, we did 1, 2, where's this other one? Like, why do I keep getting lost in this simple shirt? Okay. 1, 2, here it is. Oh, wow, Fiona, you'd have had that happen? Oh my gosh. That sounds terrible. I think if you do this, doing the fold one first and then this one second was actually, luckily, that was a good plan too, because you sew through some of the folds that you created with the first one, right? So everybody needs all the feet. Yes. Terry, if you guys don't know Terry, she's either got a video or a foot for every question you ask her. Like her motto is there's a foot for that or there's a video for that. Thank you, Debbie. I'll take it. Okay, now we're done with our shirring foot. And I left off at that center back. Here it is right here. And now we can back stitch it too. All right. All right. Look how I do this. Very confident, very bossy. I am the boss of this hem. It is not the boss of me. If you don't like these little stitches in your hem, you can take them out afterward. I often do. And if you ironed this, obviously it might even be a little easier. I had only ironed the very first one. I didn't iron the second round. But this is a lot easier. Look at this. I mean, manageable for sure. When I was first learning to sew, a lot of the hems of the dresses were, the hem was wider than the top of the skirt of it. So, you know, and so when you folded the hem up, the hem was like too long, you know, and you'd get these little tucks in it. I hated that. I hated that, right? And this takes that to a whole nother level. All right, so I'm gonna go up, across, and down. And this, see, this is why I left part of my French seam open, was that I would be able to get in here and actually stitch down the hem, because I couldn't before. It just abruptly ended the seam. And so there was no room for the hemming of the shirt right there. The double row of shirring actually looks really cute too. Like, not maybe for a hem, but I'm just saying in general, it kind of gives me some ideas, Terry. Like, we should use this foot just for fun rather than function. You probably are. What am I saying? Get in there. Okay. Little breather. Oops, that's too long of a thread. Someone can do a much nicer job of this than I can too. If they weren't, you know, if they were pinning and ironing and stuff. You know. Oh, thanks, Anne. I mean, I think it was the boss of me there for a little bit. Now I'm the boss. And you know, like, this is the thing, is like, this is a good example of how, like, the first time you sew something, it's always the first time, and you don't know what's going to happen, right? You don't know, you didn't know this was going to be the hard part of this shirt, right? Usually when you get to the hem, you're like, yay, home free. And then you're like, oh my God, it's a mile long. Boo, I'll put this off for a week or two or a month, right? But when you start kind of troubleshooting and figuring out ways to accomplish it, like, you know, the shearing foot, now this kind of makes me want to sew this again sometime, just so I can kind of figure out the best way to do this. And this is why I'm always saying, like, we're so hard on ourselves when we sew one garment. We're like, wah, it didn't come out that great. But, you know, the factory got 25 of them, you know. You got one and you're expecting perfection. So stop it. All right. I think that looks pretty good. It is very narrow, you're right. I think like the bit of pressing, if I get rid of the stitch there, it'll relax a little bit, you know? So, yeah, well, we have Terry to thank for that too, because she's the one that made me go, you know, that shearing foot would be really good for set-in sleeves. And I was like, ding! Yeah, I know, right, Terry? It's like, okay. It's kind of fun. It's like, okay, we have a new tool now in our tool belt. So, all right, so now up here, this is what I'm left with. So I do have a nice French hem up to here, right? This is what it looks like on this side. This side, you would never know that there was drama happening on the inside. Looks nice. Huh? So now we need something to cover that up right there. You know? So I think like the little triangle, you could leave it. Honestly, if it's just you, just leave it, right? This isn't mine. This is going off to a fabric store, you know? So it's going to hang in there. If you had not done the French seam, you would be presented with the same issue. I'm just going to tell you, because think about it. If this was just a regular seam, you have to stop and leave yourself room to hem it, just so you know, okay? All right, and then once I kind of, I'm going like this around this hem. Get it to relax a little bit. You can unpick this little stitch that we added here, right? And get rid of this. That will help the tucks relax. This is why sometimes I get rid of the easing stitch on my set-in sleeves, is it helps the easing relax a little bit. So yeah, you could spend time doing that. If you don't like that, I'm going to definitely trim these threads. If you do that and you pull out this stitch, try and kind of gently pull and get a loop, and you can pull the inside one, you know. So, okay, cool. All right, well, we'll troubleshoot some triangles maybe next time on Saturday. Let me show how you will cover. Yeah, I'm going to do that on Saturday, I think, Anne, just because we made this last while, and I need more sewing time on Saturday. I did show how I figured out, well, I mean, I was figuring it out on the fly, how to get the French seam to here, but the key was when you do your first pass of the French seam and it's wrong sides together, you want to stop shy of the end of the final seam, because you need this to be able to, because that's what this is. This edge is your first one. It stops here. The final one stops down here. So I stopped about 3/4 of an inch apart, like that, about that. what is that, like 3 centimeters? So that allows the fabric to be able to turn back on itself and be hemmed. Oh, I like that idea, Terry. I did this once on Michael's shirt when I completely forgot I was flat felling the shirt, and I had a vent, and I can't remember why, but I didn't use the method I use now, and I don't think I could for some reason. I can't remember why. And I just did that. I put a little like thing right there. I did it on the right side, actually. Oh, I think that's why, because they ended up on the wrong side. I did the flat felled seams the wrong way. A lot of those yarn dyed fabrics, I get really turned around sometimes, and I will put the flat felled seam on the wrong side. You can put flat felled seams on the inside or the outside, but you need to know where you're going, right? And I ended up on the wrong, the side I didn't want to end up on to be able to do the vent, and I didn't want to take it all apart and fix it. So I just covered it up, the juncture right there. So yeah, I don't know why. It's always on the men's shirts because a lot of their fabrics are the same right side and wrong side. A lot of the chambrays, the yarn dyes, all those kinds of fabrics tend to look the same on both sides. And I'm usually gift sewing, so I'm kind of like hurrying. So, all right, well, let's try it on the dress form real quick. This isn't the one I want. I want this one here. It's a little bright, huh? Let's take out all the pins now. I think the belt's going to be cute with this in that maroon. I have so much of that fabric left over, like a half yard. I don't know why. Okay. Might have to dim the lights. This one got shorter than my muslin. That looks cute. A little bright. Let me turn off the light. It's a digital light. It helped a little bit. Collar's pretty sleek looking. And then the hem. It's very narrow, huh? It's very demure, very curved. It's pretty roomy. But with the belt on there, be cute, I think. All right. Yeah, I agree. The right and wrong side thing is so hard. Oh, thanks, Kathleen. This is the Hawthorne by Colette. Probably my very first live stream ever. Yeah, I think the fitting worked good. Without the sleeves on here, it's kind of hard to see, but that made a difference. We probably could have taken more out. You can still see a little bit of this little bit of thing there. So too bad the armhole is big, because it could maybe a sleeveless version with the belt could have worked, and then I wouldn't have to worry about the fabric, you know, for the sleeves. It's kind of an idea. Maybe I could draft a different sleeve for it. It's a bummer they're out of fabric. I wish I would have noticed. I feel bad. All right, guys, we'll see you Saturday. And we're going to do the belt, which is, I haven't ironed the inner facing yet, but it is this really great Nara homespun. Oh, it's an obi belt, so it has some really cool ties to it. I think it's going to be really neat. All right, I'll see you guys Saturday then. Thanks for hanging out. This was fun. It was a journey. We took our time, you know. It does, Anne, absolutely. They call it an obi belt. Or optional tie belt. Oh, I've been calling it an obi belt because that's what I thought they were calling it. Maybe it was just Allison calling it that. Oh, yeah. Maybe I should stop saying that. Because maybe it's not traditional obi belt, because I know those are specific. So maybe I'll look into that. All right, guys. We'll see you guys Saturday. Bye.